So I wanted to talk to you about weaving illusions and how spiders exist within Hinduism and the sacred web of existence itself. Because in the quiet corners of the forest, beneath the dewdrop laden branches, a web shimmers in the morning light. Silent, intricate, intentional. A single spider sits at the center, unmoving, yet it commands a cosmic structure, a living metaphor that ancient Hindu sages found impossible to ignore. In the sacred stillness, the spider becomes more than just a creature. It becomes a symbol, a teacher, a weaver of realities, a mirror of the universe itself. Throughout Hindu philosophy, nature is revered not only for its physical beauty, but for the eternal truths it unveils. You see, the spider is often overlooked or feared, and has long held a sacred whisper within Hindu thought and metaphysics. It stands as a mystifying emissary of Maya, which is illusion, and Brahma, which is the supreme self. Karma, as well as the path to spiritual liberation. To observe the spider is to contemplate the mystery of existence itself. So let's talk about Maya and the grand illusion. Central to Hindu thought is the concept of Maya, the veil of illusion that overlaps reality. Now, Maya is not necessarily deceit in a moral sense, but the cosmic play of Leela that makes the temporary appear eternal and the multiple seem separate from the one. Just as a spider weaves a web from its own body and becomes both creator and inhabitant of its intricate design, the soul weaves itself into the illusions of material life. The Chandogya Upanishad offers us a very striking image of this. As a spider emits and withdraws from its web, sparks come from out of the fire. So from the Atman come all organs, all worlds, all gods, all beings. This is deep because God is the universe and the universe is God. This poetic comparison is not coincidental. The spider does not build with external tools. It spins from itself, from its own essence. Likewise, the soul projects the illusion of separation, form, and identity upon the screen of existence, becoming enmeshed in what it has created. The web is dazzling, it is complex, it is beautiful, but it is not the spider. But similarly, the material world is not the self. Yet we forget this, confusing the strands of desire, ego, and form for ultimate truth. Maya is a dance of light and shadow, form and void. To see beyond it is to awaken to Brahman, the infinite consciousness that is beyond all names and all forms. In this sense, the spider becomes the emblem of the spiritual seeker, caught in its own web until it learns to unspin the illusion and return to stillness. So let's talk about creation from within, the spider and the Brahma. The cosmic spider does not simply represent illusion, it represents creation itself. In many Vedic and Puranic traditions, the act of divine creation is understood as a self-manifestation. Brahma, the creator god, does not build the universe from raw material, he emanates it from his own being. Take that in. Just as a spider spins a web from the fibers of its own body, Brahma spins time, matter, and consciousness from the cosmic essence. The Upanishadic seers saw in the spider a perfect analogy for this divine act, self-originating, self-sustaining, and ultimately self-dissolving. In this view, the web becomes a tapestry of life, an interconnected matrix in which everything has its place and purpose. Every strand is connected to another. Every vibration echoes throughout the whole. Nothing exists in isolation. This is not chaos. This is design. The spider is not merely an architect. It is a divine weaver. It is threading cosmic intelligence through the fabric of reality. Even in regional traditions, as we know that in India there are different practices that vary from region to region, such as South Indian or tribal Hindu practices, spiders are quietly venerated as mystical creators, with their patience and patterning held as sacred reminders of the ultimate spiritual order. So let's talk about the karma web, interconnected fates, and entanglements. Hinduism teaches that karma, the law of cause and effect, governs the material world. Every thought, every action, every word is like a thread spun into the web of life. Just as in a spider's web, a single vibration on one end is felt across an entire structure. So too does karma ripple through time, affecting not only our present lives, but those yet to come. The spider's web becomes a visual metaphor for karmic entanglement. Some strands are sticky, some strands are structural, but all are interconnected. To be aware, or let us say to be unaware, of this web is to be caught within it, subject to the unseen forces of consequence. But to become aware is to see patterns and vibrations, and that is how you begin to navigate karma with a deliberate, conscious intent. In this light, the spider represents both the karma maker and the karma transcender. It shows that one may create without becoming enslaved by the creation. This is non-attachment. This reminds the soul that liberation, moksha, lies not in avoiding the web, but in mastering it, knowing when to weave and knowing when to let go. So this brings us to stillness, patience, and meditative wisdom. Spiders do not chase their prey. They wait, they observe. In silence, they master time. In yogic philosophy, the qualities of stillness, observation, and detachment are essential. Let me repeat that again. Essential to the path of self-realization. These are not passive traits. They are active disciplines. The spider embodies this paradox. Utter stillness with razor-sharp awareness. To meditate is to become like the spider, centered, alert, yet undisturbed. The yogi, like the spider, learns to sit at the center of his own web. The mind, watching thoughts move like insects, resisting the impulse to act on every passing moment. Instead, the yogi waits for truth to resonate. It waits for the right action to become clear. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna urges Arjuna to act from stillness and equanimity. This spiritual poise is mirrored in the spider's nature, a being that exists in harmony with its environment yet completely independent of it. So what about the shadow of the spider? This is where fear, misunderstanding, and rebirth can occur. Despite its secret symbolism, the spider is also feared. Its venom, its silence, its sudden movements, it stirs the human subconscious. This fear is not without meaning. In Hindu philosophy, symbols often contain both light and shadow, representing the duality of our experience. The spider reminds us of the unknown, the mysterious, the transformative power of death and rebirth. Just as a web is destroyed and woven again, so too does the soul undergo reincarnation, shedding identities like old webs and spinning new ones based on the unresolved karma of past actions. The spider's ability to destroy and recreate is an echo of Shiva's role as the destroyer and the regenerator, clearing illusion to make way for truth. In tantric traditions, the spider is also aligned with feminine archetypes of power and intuition, similar to the goddess Kali or the fierce yoginis who command the mysteries of time and the void. Here, the spider is not simply a symbol of illusion, it is a gatekeeper to a deeper gnosis. This is where sacred geometry and the divine order come into play. The spider's web is not just random, it follows geometric precision, unfolding in spirals and radial patterns that reflect deeper cosmic laws. In this, it parallels the yantra, mandalas, and other sacred symbols used in Hindu rituals and meditations. To study a web is to study divine order in form, the invisible patterns that govern both the universe and the soul. It is said in yogic texts that those who meditate on the geometry of nature begin to align with the rhythms of the universe. The spider's work becomes a living yantra, a diagram of spiritual alignment. The Brahmarandra, which is the spiritual gateway at the crown of the head, is often described in yoga as the place where the soul exits the illusion. Symbolically, it is the center of the web where all strands converge. The spider sitting at the axis becomes a metaphor for the inner witness, the seer, the unmoved mover. How does this interplay with the divine feminine in the loom of time? Well, in many Hindu traditions, creation is personified as a goddess, Prakriti, Shakti, Durga, Kali, the cosmic feminine force that births and dissolves reality. The spider spinning from her own body reflects this feminine creativity. She is both mother and maker. The goddess Aditi, the mother of the gods, is said to be unbounded as a womb from which all creation flows. In tribal and folk Hinduism, the spider goddess appears as a totem of maternal wisdom, spinning fate watching over the home, weaving blessings. Spiders also thread through the idea of time. The web, ever expanding and contracting, mirrors the cycles of yugas, the great ages of cosmic history. The spider moves slowly through time but never quite ceases. She knows the pulse of creation, the heartbeat of Dharma, and the wheel of rebirth. To revere the spider is to bow before the eternal mother, who weaves galaxies as effortlessly as she does dreams. So, how does this have a modern resonance? Let's return to the web of meaning. In a world increasingly disconnected from nature, from stillness, from the inner self, the spider symbolism in Hinduism offers an urgent call and whisper. Remember the web. Remember that all things are interconnected. The illusion seems real only as long as you believe it. That your actions reverberate far beyond what you could see. That your own soul is the weaver and the web at the same time. So modern seekers, especially those drawn to yoga, tantra, and mindfulness, are rediscovering the spider not as a pest, but as a guide. In her silence is power, in her geometry, wisdom, in her web, a mystery waiting to be unraveled. In conclusion, the cosmic spider is the key to the awakening soul. The spider waits, still, centered, unshaken by chaos. She knows what we have forgotten: how to create without clinging, how to be present without reacting, how to dwell in the center without losing oneself in the strands. This is when one gets trapped in the illusion. This is when it's time to detach. In Hinduism, where the metaphors become maps of liberation, the spider is an ancient and timeless symbol. It speaks to the illusion of separateness, the majesty of self-creation, and the interwoven strands of karma and the quiet dignity of spiritual awareness. To meditate upon the spider is to awaken the deeper truths of the universe, to become the seer and the seen, to dissolve the web and return to the self. In the end, as the spider draws her web back into herself, so too shall the universe fold into the internal Brahman. What remains is no longer illusion, not form. The weaver herself is what remains, pure consciousness, undivided, and truly infinite. And if I don't see you, just remember, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.